Trace joining me now with more. Incoming White House Press Secretary Spicer. Sean, welcome. Good to see you here today.
Good to see you. Thanks, Martha.
So what do you make of that? I mean, the cabinet picks are being characterized basically as dumb and way, way too rich.
Well, I think that anybody who's taken 2 seconds to look at the quality and caliber of these individuals will realize that that's a pretty ridiculous statement. These individuals represent the best and brightest that our country has to offer in each of the areas that they will lead. The reason the president-elect chose them is because they each are uniquely qualified to move this country forward in an area that their department oversees. So whether it's Rex Tillerson at the Department of State, or Betsy DeVos at Education, or General James Mattis at the Department of Defense, these individuals have earned bipartisan praise, and organizations throughout this country have really kind of praised the pick that they are. There's a reason that most of them haven't landed a glove on them. It's their quality and understanding of the issues and challenges that we face, and more importantly, the solutions that Donald Trump is going to have them offer. It's something that most people who are not partisan Senate Democrats recognize are just truly amazing individuals.
How tough are they going to make this process, and how many people do you expect will be confirmed by tomorrow afternoon, Sean?
It's a great question, Martha, because in 2008, when Senate Republicans had the majority in the Senate, they confirmed 7 of President Obama's nominees on day one, 5 more the week after. While we expect a few to get through right now, Senate Democrats led by New York Democrat Chuck Schumer have doing everything they can to delay this. And there are people like Secretary Elaine Chao, Dr. Ben Carson, and UN Secretary-designate Governor Nikki Haley, who are unbelievably qualified and fell into what the Democrats once called their consensus candidates. So while all of these people are unique, they are clearly now going into a full-on delay mode, which speaks volumes to their desire to really want to make sure this government can continue to operate at its highest.
You know, very interesting story that emerged this morning in The Hill about cuts in federal spending and in agencies as well. And let me see if you can confirm some of this for us, that the Trump government would cut $10.5 trillion over the next 10 years, and that the Departments of Commerce and Energy would see major reductions in funding, with their programs either being eliminated or transferred to other agencies, which raises the question, is Rick Perry going to have a Department of Energy to oversee anyway?
Well, of course Rick Perry's going to have a department. We've got the nuclear side of it, but then more than anything, one of the things that Rick Perry, as the former governor, the longest-serving, frankly, governor of Texas, understands is how to utilize our natural resources to both create jobs, to harness for additional energy resources in the United States, but B, how all that can be done in a way that spurs economic growth. So there's a lot there. I think what you're going to see government-wide, though, is a Trump administration really focusing on whether or not taxpayer money is being used the most efficient and effective way. Donald Trump is going to bring a businessman approach to government, which is how do we deliver the best product and service to the American people in a way that respects their tax dollars and does so in a way that promotes efficiency, but also provides them a better product. The status quo is just not acceptable anymore, and business as usual is over.
Well, let me ask you this then, because there's been a lot of discussion about the sort of second and third tier jobs that haven't been filled yet, and maybe some of those jobs are going to stay empty, because this article also talks about cuts happening at Justice, cuts happening at the State Department. Is that what we're seeing here? Are many of those jobs not going to be filled at all?
Well, again, I think you're going to look at essential and non-essential jobs. It's not a question of just whether a job will be filled or not. The question is there duplicity? Is that job still relevant? But more than anything, what we have to do is ensure that critical posts are filled. The president-elect has asked 51 individuals to stay in critical posts to ensure the best continuity of government, that we are prepared day one. We've got a lot of deputy secretaries, undersecretaries, and assistant secretaries ready to go. Now that the cabinet is fully filled out, you're going to see a flurry of activity at that. But what each of these individuals is charged with from every department and agency is looking at their budget and their staffing to figure out whether or not that we are using the taxpayers' funds in the most effective and efficient way. So if there's a duplicitous job or one that is no longer relevant, then yeah, we're going to make sure that we don't disrespect the taxpayer.
I understand what you're saying. Will we see any of those agencies disappear? And also, can you confirm that the National Endowment for the Arts would disappear and National Endowment for Humanities would disappear?
No, I think that right now there's nothing that's been put on the table. I think what you're seeing is a full review of government in a way that's never happened before to ensure that we are actually maximizing the result for the taxpayer. So we have not made any final decisions about any agency or department right now. Part of what we've done is had these landing teams, individuals who've gone into every department and agency to report back to the president-elect and his senior team on what recommendations they make based on what they've seen, how things are operating, what their staffing levels are.
All right. One last question for you. A piece in the New York Times says that Reince Priebus is being called on by the GOP to, quote, domesticate the president and normalize the White House. Your thoughts?
Well, I think Reince Priebus has done a phenomenal job as a manager and leading the team, but Donald Trump is the leader. He is the president-elect, and I think his style and his authenticity are the reasons that he got elected in the first place and the reason that he's going to continue to be a very, very successful president. He has relied on Reince and other members of the senior team, Kellyanne Conway, Jared Kushner, Steve Bannon, to execute that agenda, and Reince has done a phenomenal job the last 6 years really putting a party in place, and it's for that reason he's done such a good job managing a massive team to a successful outcome. The president-elect tapped him to lead this effort for him, for his White House and the government.
And the discussions that group doesn't always get along that well. Can you speak to that?
I can't, because it's not true. They're a great group of folks. They get along phenomenally. They work together in such an amazing way, and they actually each complement each other in terms of how business is done. I know so many folks in the mainstream media are trying to manufacture these faux disagreements that occur, but the team works together unbelievably well, and I think the results are there. You've seen the most effective, efficient, and comprehensive transition in our country's history. We've set the gold standard for how transitions will work in the future, and it's because of that senior leadership and the leadership that Chairman Mike Pence of our transition team had, and the reason that he tapped the Vice President-elect to be the chairman of that is because this group works together so well to achieve a common goal.
Sean Spicer, I hope your boxes are packed and ready to move into the West Wing tomorrow. Very big day for you, our friend, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Sean.
Thanks, Martha. We're ready to go. We're eager.